welcome.
Welcome to Cool Dudes Movie Show.
I'm Bean, he's Boob, and he's Bab.
My name's Kevin.
We're going to talk about boobies.
We're going to talk about crippling depression and prostate cancer.
Movies.
As well as some movies.
I have pancreatic cancer, if you guys didn't know that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Prostate cancer?
No, pancreatic cancer.
You don't need your pancreas, guy. Come
You
on.
really don't. You can live without it.
No, you kind of do need it.
No, you don't need any.
You don't need your gallbladder, but you kind of do need your pancreas.
You just need will to live, man.
Will
to live.
I don't even know what a pancreas is.
I don't either.
And some dank weed.
Dank weed.
Dank kosher weed.
So who wants to start?
Speaking of weed and drugs.
Holy Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That one. Rainbows.
Holy Mountain. La Mentona Sacré.
Can you see the butt?
He's got a very nice butt.
You got the butt.
It's Jesus, by the way.
No, he's a thief.
Whatever the fuck, I don't give a shit.
No, he's Jesus.
It's it's his tarot card, right?
Yeah, it's the thief tarot card.
It's his stand.
The Holy Mountain.
Before we talk about the Holy Mountain, Beyond Fest. If you guys live in the Southern California area, check out Beyond Fest.
Here.
No, don't, because then the tickets will just sell out.
Actually,
so
no.
Don't go, you asshole.
Why don't you describe what Beyond Fest is?
No, don't describe.
No, but Beyond Fest doesn't exist. It's not some super cool film festival where they show genre films like The Holy Mountain in 2001: The Space Odyssey. It's nothing like that. So just don't look up anything about it. You know, it doesn't exist. But we did see The Holy Mountain in 35mm in some theater somewhere.
Definitely.
Somehow.
Definitely
It
not
probably was
anywhere
called
nearby you.
The Egyptian?
No. Just don't go.
Don't go.
Don't go. For our sake.
You will have a shitty time.
Do us a favor and don't go. Anyways, Holy Mountain. One of the best movies ever made.
Definitely.
I have
Easily.
not seen this before. They've seen it, and oh god, oh my god, it was something.
Yep.
I feel like my life has been changed.
Yep.
It's one of those films.
Yep.
Life altering. It's like taking acid without taking
Who
acid.
wants to describe it?
Okay.
I'm not going to. Go ahead.
It's a surrealist epic. I guess.
I guess.
It's everything. That's what it is. It's everything. Everything.
Yep.
Alejandro Jodorowsky. Best boy in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What other movies has he done? I only know.
He did El Topo.
Other than El Topo and the Doom that never got made.
Santa Sangre.
And Dance of Reality.
And the Rainbows.
Are any of them good besides El Topo?
No, they're all good apparently.
Yeah, they're all really good.
But have you not seen any of them?
He did a comedy.
I've only seen Holy Mountain.
He did a comedy, like, in the 90s that was, like, nothing
Really?
like what he does, yeah. I have no idea why he made it. Let me look it up.
Well, he kind of just, like, quit filmmaking when he made
Yeah, he
after
did.
Holy Mountain.
Yeah, those are his main three. It's a whole.
Isn't he doesn't he do theater too?
I don't know. I know
music?
he wrote a series of comic books.
Really?
Yeah, there's multiple. There's Meta Barons, which is really good. That's the only one I've seen or read. But he did one. It's called The Incal, and it's supposedly inspired a lot of what Fifth Element is. In fact, there was like a legal battle over how similar it is, and it took a lot of the assets from what Dune was going to be.
Oh, okay.
And made it into this comic book series.
Yep.
But wait, I mean, I thought the guy who made the Fifth Element, like he wrote that story when he was like a kid or something.
What's his name? Like
I don't
The
know.
guy directed, like the story was that the guy who directed Fifth Element. I forget his name. He also did Leon the Professional and
Luc Besson.
Yeah, Luc Besson. He also did Lucy.
Oh, he did Lucy, really?
What else? I know he did a lot of other movies.
I'm on Jodorowsky's IMDb.
Anyways.
He was in another legal battle actually over this one like space prison movie he made, which is also heavily like similarly plot wise.
Jodorowsky?
No, Luc Besson.
Oh, Luc Besson. Okay.
The
Luc
film
Besson.
Luc Besson.
Who's calling
Lucky Besson. The legal battle was over this film he made that's about like a space prison, and it's supposedly very similar plot wise to Escape from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he lost that actually. So
Back to Jodorowsky.
Yeah.
Jodorowsky.
Jodorowsky. He did a movie in 1990 called The Rainbow Thief. It's nothing like he's done.
Oh, yeah.
It's Peter O'Toole.
Really?
Christopher Lee.
Wow.
Damn.
Jude Alderson. It's about a petty crook in search of the
pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, hopes to cash in by befriending the hierarchy a huge fortune.
Sounds like one of his films.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've never seen it, so I can't say. But like, it just looks like a kind of like a fantasy comedy.
Interesting. Well, back to the Holy Mountain, guys.
How did you guys first see it? I'm curious.
I saw it on my laptop on the computers. I think it was free on YouTube.
But how did you hear about Jodorowsky?
Well, I there was a number of reasons. There was some YouTube videos that talked about it and analyzed it, and I didn't know what it was, so I sort of like stumbled upon it. And so I was like, people are saying it's like one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
I gotta see it. I bought the Blu-ray and I saw it, and holy fucking shit.
Holy mountain fucking shit.
Holy mountain fucking shit.
I found it out. I was a really messed up kid. I like to look up, like, I like to go on IMDb and search, like, the most disturbing films or, like, ever made. For some reason, The Holy Mountain was, like, one of them. Like, I don't think necessarily disturbing, but, like, controversial. And so that's how I found out about The Holy Mountain. And then just one day I watched it free on YouTube. And then I immediately started looking up, like, analysis videos. And
How long ago was that, though?
that was, I'd say, probably 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. I think I first heard about Jodorowsky through the Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, yeah.
I never actually
Yeah.
watched the documentary, but I knew about his name for a while.
It's a good documentary.
Haven't
good.
seen it yet.
It's
I kind
good.
of want to see it because I'm curious about all that. And actually, like, that movie got me interested in, like, watching the Dune movie, like the David Lynch version.
Yeah, the David Lynch.
Which I actually like. I think it's still good, but from what I hear about the Jodorowsky version, it sounds a little bit more interesting. What's your opinions on The Holy Mountain?
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's up there for me. I think it's just undeniable how great it is.
I really it was amazing. I don't know if I put it favorite movie level because it's not really my kind of thing, but
Would you consider it one of the best you've ever seen?
I would consider it one of the best I've ever seen in my life. I mean, like, it's just so, there's just so much to it. You get so many feelings from it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not just like the visuals, but it's like, it's disturbing atmosphere and like it's like this world and
Very dystopian.
very dystopian and but also that vintage look, that vintage. And also like this like those
The set
really
design,
crazy
yeah.
set design is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Crazy visuals and like this depiction of this world under and like it's awesome.
The ending is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Should we talk about it? No,
Why would we do that?
No, let's not talk about it. You guys just
Watch
need to
it.
see it, but we'll
Watch
talk about it. We'll talk about other parts, but
Jodorowsky's a troll.
Yeah, it was basically, yeah, this is great.
Watch it. Sorry, what?
What, are we done already? Cool.
No.
There's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more to talk about.
I mean, what is there to say about the Holy Mountain?
It's surprisingly funny. When I first watched it, I think when I first watched it, I took it completely seriously, which I think was not smart because you can clearly see the way he plays a lot of things through the editing and just through like the way the shots are composed. He's clearly trying to be funny at times, especially in a few specific moments. And so when seeing it in a theater with a bunch of other people and seeing them laugh at all these moments, I was like, oh shit, this is trying to be funny. And so it's like this epic, dark comedy that's also surrealist. It's just everything you could ever ask for in a film, really. Yum.
Okay. That's a lot of water, bro.
Don't look at me like that. I almost like spit it out on your laptop.
Yeah, I would not have been happy.
Yeah, just don't look at me when I'm drinking.
I'm sorry. Well, you were making like this weird noise, and I just going like.
I was drinking.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I'm curious, like, what went through your head
Oh yeah.
on your first viewing of this film?
It's hard to explain. I mean, like I would have reacted.
What'd you go in expecting? I guess.
I knew it was gonna be weird, but
Yeah.
I just didn't. I never looked up. I didn't look up a single thing about the movie because I knew it was gonna be weird.
Good.
All I knew was about this poster, and because they brought it up, we had to put it up.
Yep.
And I liked the way it looks, and I thought that was Jesus. So I thought, okay, this is well, I initially thought, so this guy looks like Jesus, kind of, and they told me he looks like Jesus, so it was gonna have some religious elements to it. And then there's this guy over here, so there's probably gonna be like some cult leader. And
Did you know that's Jodorowsky himself?
Yes, I do know that. I do know
Okay.
that's Jodorowsky.
Okay. Just making sure.
And then this C-3PO looking woman. The poster
I think
looks
she
like-
actually inspired C-3PO.
Really?
That could have been.
That and like the robot from Metropolis.
Well, seeing how Dune inspired like Star Wars.
I'm not
and all
sure
that.
George Lucas would really have gone out and seen something like this.
No, I think he totally would have. Like if you look at like the kind of stuff he like talked about, like he talks about a lot of like really obscure films.
Wasn't this movie supported like by John Lennon or something like that?
Probably. I mean.
Like there was an underground movement that he.
Somebody like that. I forget who it was.
Yoko Ono and John Lennon. I think they were promoting this movie.
Mm-hmm. Most likely
in the underground movement.
Yeah.
It kind of follows.
When you're asking how I was thinking,
philosophy.
how I was thinking, like I would react to how you think I would react. It's just like, okay, if I see someone like something like a guy with no limbs walking around hugging the dude, and like the movie opens with the guy shaving the heads of the girls off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the title sequence is like this. It was like the soundtrack was like this choir music that just goes like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then the title scenes came up, and it's like all these very like
weird
these crafts,
crafts, yeah.
like these weird crafts, and zooming out through all of them, and just like you're going into this trance, and I was like deadly tired too, because like I had a long day that day, but like it helped out because like I was sort of like going through like a dream state too. I was like halfway through sleeping
In a trance.
It entranced me, really. It honestly did. And like I got completely immersed in the world. And what really helped too was like the film. It was, since we saw it on film, it's not a perfect copy of the film, but like there's grains everywhere, but it helps with the vintage atmosphere. Like you're watching some old
the sort of aesthetic of it. Yeah.
Like you're watching it's the aesthetic. Also, like it gives you the feeling like you dug up something weird.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
yeah.
like now you're watching this fantastic weird movie, and
Jodorowsky actually did the music too.
Yeah, I heard.
It's quite a thing.
10 out of 10.
Oh, that's not a question.
10 out of 10.
So what is exactly supposed to be the meaning of it?
Well, it's one of those films where it's dense with meaning. Like there's so much meaning throughout.
I thought the meaning was that there was no meaning at all.
I think that's not, because like especially in the beginning where they replicate his visage in the various forms, and then he destroys all of them, and then he eats it. That has very clear meaning.
Oh yeah, well,
I think the ultimate meaning of it is don't spend your time trying to find the holy mountain, because the holy mountain is life itself.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. But the holy mountain thing doesn't show up until like the very last half.
Well, it's all about getting to the holy mountain. That's what that's what everyone's trying to do. The holy mountain ultimately kind of represents happiness in a way, right? And how everyone in life is looking for happiness, and that is the ultimate goal of everyone, is to find happiness. And what this is essentially saying is, happiness isn't a tangible thing you can get to. It's everything. It's the leading up. It's there's no, like, the journey is what the happiness is, right?
But they live in this dystopian world.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it dystopian? Is because they want to get the holy mountain?
Well, I think it's where a lot of like the more like nitty gritty commentary comes in about like society.
Could it be that because they want the holy mountain but they can never get to it, it's why it's dystopian?
Yeah, I think that might be. They're pursuing it in ways that aren't not necessarily correct, but they're not pursuing it in the best, like, I guess not in the right way. I think a lot of the commentary in it is basically just an exaggeration of reality. Mm-hmm. Like, not literally reality, but that's kind of the point of surrealism, is to exaggerate to get your point across. And that's what it's kind of doing.
My feeling is that what I kind of got from it, at least how I kind of interpreted it, was that this is just the Earth in the future. Mm. We don't, I mean, like, even if it's like 50 years from now, we're probably not going to have that much technological innovation. And it just becomes this, it's a really exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's like this, it's like a dystopian future where
it's like a farce.
These 7 people are like controlling every aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like it's politically corrupt, morally corrupt, ethically corrupt.
Yeah.
And I guess the Holy Mountain is just, that could be the search for happiness in a dystopian world, I guess. I think
it's just because, like I said, I think that it is trying to portray reality through an exaggerated lens. It's hard to articulate, really, because I mean, these are like films like this. It's almost impossible to articulate, like, here is why what this film means. It's never really how art works. It's more about the more intangible qualities of life, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say I wouldn't put it in my favorite movies because it's just not really my kind of thing. But it's just like, it was incredibly effective. I am so fucking glad I saw this movie.
Do you think it's rewatchable?
I think it's rewatchable.
Yeah.
It's infinitely rewatchable.
Right.
I would say.
I want to get the Blu-ray, and we gotta.
It's really great.
Yep.
It actually looks better than the 35 millimeter.
Yeah, that's
It probably does.
the 35 frame was kind of messed up.
Yeah, that's just inevitable.
And that's pretty much my 2 cents about it.
Cool.
It's my 3 cents about it.
That's my 82 cents about it.
Where would you guys place it in your favorites lists?
Top 10 for me, probably.
I really don't know, because like there are so many films that I see and like, this is the best film ever made. This is my favorite film of all time. I watch so many good films that things are just constantly usurping the throne endlessly. And so I have no idea. I've seen so many amazing films.
Yeah.
I've given up on trying to create a top 10 list or anything because there's just so many good films out there. And they're all good in just completely different ways.
Yeah.
You know?
For me, it would probably be 8.5, 7 Samurai, Holy Mountain.
Yeah.
And then the one we saw afterwards, which is the lovely 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, really? It's in your top list?
Yeah, I think I've...
Wait, it's going to be your top list?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about this later.
It might be one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So.
All right. So yeah, that's our thoughts on Holy Mountain. It was great. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Go see it. If you can't see it on a theater or...
There's a Blu-ray. It's pretty cheap.
Film in some way, go check it out. Or just get the Blu-ray. If you can't get the Blu-ray, watch it on YouTube for free.
If you can't do that, pirate it.
Yeah.
Piracy. Yarr!
Yar!
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Baby boy! Yes. We're
So-
back with a vengeance to pillage your family's house. 2001.
Another movie that we totally did not see at Beyond Fest
No.
or at the Egyptian Theater.
Don't go.
Not in 70
Don't
millimeter.
Not in 70.
And there wasn't a laser show.
And there wasn't the 2 actors coming to
No. Do the Q&A.
do the Q&A.
Nope.
Didn't happen.
But we did see it. Somehow.
Somehow.
Magic.
We watched it on our VHS.
Yes.
Yeah. On VHS. There you go.
Good old pan and scan letterbox. Not letterbox. Pan and scan full screen. 3:4 aspect ratio.
Yeah.
This boy hadn't seen it yet.
Nope. It's my first time seeing it.
How'd you like it?
Well, I thought it was okay.
You thought it was okay?
No, I fucking loved it.
Huh.
It might be one of my favorite movies. And it's so far my favorite Kubrick movie. But then again, I've only seen like 5 of his movies, so... But it's the best I've seen so far. And
I'm really surprised because I thought like when we were at the theater,
Yeah.
At the couch watching the VHS.
Yeah, right.
Like you were kind of fidgeting a bit. I don't know. Like I kind of felt like you maybe like weren't enjoying it. I guess. I don't
like
know.
I was bored?
Yeah, because like
It's very slow.
There are a lot of slow scenes.
Well, to be honest, like the first half before the intermission, I had to take a piss like really bad. So that was probably it. Because I was
Okay.
like, fuck. Like I honestly wasn't like really paying attention because I was like, I need to take a piss so bad right now. And then afterwards, like, because that's when it got good, I was like, okay, yeah, this is fucking amazing.
What about you, Jordan? What was your first experience with the movie?
I saw... Oh, this time?
I
Or
mean,
just in
like
general?
the first time you ever watched the movie.
Oh, the first time I ever watched the movie. So this was actually one of the first movies that ever got me into the whole movie thing.
Movies.
I kind of got to get into the story of how I got into film, I guess, to get here. One day, randomly, out of nowhere, I was walking to swap meet, and I passed by some DVDs, and there was Gone Girl and there was Drive, and for some reason, I bought those two, and eventually I saw them, and from that point on, I really just kind of fell in love with film, just crazy in love with it. And one of the first directors I looked at was Stanley Kubrick, and one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought was a collection of 3 of his films, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, and 2001. And 2001 was the first one I watched.
Question: did you know about Stanley Kubrick before?
In passing, very minor, whisperings of him.
You've heard the name?
I've heard the name, but I didn't really know anything about his films.
Okay.
And so I picked this up, and I'm like, Dad, we're going to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. I watched this with my dad, and we put it on, and about not even halfway through, we decided to stop, because my dad was, really bored from it.
Oh no.
And so I stopped, and it took about a week for me to start it over again. So I had to start.
God.
Yeah, and so I started over from the beginning and watched through it again. And oh baby, I can attribute this film probably to my devotion to film. It's one of them. This and probably There Will Be Blood. This is like the catalyst for my love of film. Everything this film does is a perfect example of what I love about cinema.
I'm kind of similar to Kubrick was probably the first director I've ever really in terms of actual directors when getting to film and actually appreciating the art of film is Stanley Kubrick.
For me, it was Roland Emmerich. Honestly,
The best.
I'm not kidding.
The best.
The first movie I watched of Kubrick's was Clockwork Orange. It's probably one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
And
It's up there.
It's up there, probably competing with 2001. It took me a while. I mean, I was a fan of him for a couple of years, but it took me a while to actually finally watch 2001. I got the DVD and I tried watching it, but I didn't finish it. But then later on, I got the Blu-ray and I played it. I watched it, and I fell in love with it. It was I think that the scene that got me was the space scene, the space docking scene. Not just the cut, but I mean the space docking scene itself. Playing the Blue Danaboo. As the ship is coming towards it. Yeah. And they're sort of doing this dance and they're coming together. That's when I sort of realized this is probably one of the best things I've ever.
It holds up perfectly today still.
The effects are
it's
great.
insane how well it holds up.
That space docking thing. I mean, the spaceship, the space station. I mean,
it looks better than CG, really.
It looks better than CG.
There's more limitations, but it just looks so much better.
Like you were saying, it looked better than Star Wars.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it does look.
It was 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And it might be because it's a lot more simpler, but also at the same time you got Stanley Kubrick's direction.
Yeah.
And he films it in a way that's just so perfect, and it accentuates the movement and the beauty of it.
Yeah, the music in the film is so perfectly coordinated with the whole thing.
Sorry.
Which there's a lot of films where the music coordination is kind of off, especially when it comes to classical. Yeah. But everything.
Oh wait, do you know about the story of the music though? The background music?
No, I don't.
There was going to be a completely different soundtrack. Made by one guy who was going to make the soundtrack to it. But Stanley Kubrick, while the soundtrack was being made, he would edit the film with classical music.
Oh, so he tempt it with that.
Yeah, he used temp music, and for a lot of people, temp music is the bane on earth.
Oh yeah, it is.
But for this one, I think it works mostly that he kept the classical music.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
I think actually almost all of his masterpieces, which are the ones from 2001 onward, aside from Full Metal Jacket, they all use classical music pretty extensively, pretty universally.
And because classical music is kind of universal.
Yeah, and I mean, when you watch his films, the music in that is just branded onto your mind. There's certain music tracks from his masterpieces, 2001. Specifically, Barry Lyndon. There's a certain song that plays in the very beginning that is burned into the back of my skull, and I can't even forget it. It just that one melody, this simple melody, brings back everything from the film. And then it brings back everything from every one of his films.
That reminds me of the soundtrack from Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
Where it's just that fucking piano song.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I did like Eyes Wide Shut, but that piano song kind of got on my nerves a little bit.
Oh, I love that piano song. Which one's the...
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. No, it's perfect. No, that's so perfect, though, because it totally, because when you first hear that piano song is in that moment where he turns the corner and they're all sitting there.
I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, sorry.
Oops.
Gosh darn it.
Dang. Dang, Daniel.
Oh no.
Oh no. We're like
what have I done?
We're a couple of miles away from that guy from the damn Daniel guy.
I know he does. He actually
he lives around our area. Yeah. We were gone by then.
And we haven't murdered him yet.
He's not that bad. He's a little annoying.
Come on. Someone needs
back to 2001.
Is it the Daniel kid or the guy who's doing the damn Daniel? Okay.
Both of them.
Okay.
Damn, Daniel. Damn,
I think the guy behind the camera is probably worse though.
Oh, yeah.
But they're both pretty fucking intolerable.
Daniel just kind of stands there and looks pretty. The difference between your guys' first time viewing this movie and mine is I got to see it in 70 millimeter. Or sorry, on the couch on VHS.
Not if it were
definitely not 70
If
millimeter.
it were 70 millimeter?
Definitely not the best way to watch a film ever.
It would be incredible.
Definitely not.
Yeah, dude. I'm still trying to comprehend what I saw there, because I had no idea what happens in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Like, I was not aware of all that shit that happens. So I was in a trance throughout the entire second half of this movie.
Oh God, yeah.
I loved it, especially on that on the VHS on that.
That
TV.
70 millimeter VHS.
Yeah. Right.
Did you not know about like the Stargate distance?
I didn't know anything about anything. Like, I've seen clips of like the tunnel scene and all that, but like I didn't know like what it was.
Did you know about the apes too in the beginning?
I knew about the apes. Yeah,
that's the thing that gets people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whenever
I didn't expect that either. Yeah.
Whenever I show people like this movie, like they don't know about the apes.
No, I did know that like the opening was the apes, and like the first 20 minutes was like no dialogue.
It's like whenever I show it to somebody, like they get so confused. Like, wait, I thought this was a space movie. Why are we watching?
That's exactly how
Why are we watching
reacted.
Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But like but the point is that the movie, the key theme about the movie is evolution.
Yeah, the evolution of man.
Evolution of man.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I'd love to discuss the themes of this film as well. I want to hear your interpretation.
well, I mean, okay, I think it's not really much of an interpretation as far as like what the story really is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, there's a clear understanding of like what the plot is.
There is a book that was made alongside it.
Yeah, the Arthur C. Clarke one. Yeah.
And basically, from what I know, is that aliens or higher intelligent beings sent out the monoliths to Earth, and then to help guide the evolution of a certain species, which is man.
Yeah, I'm what I mean more is like the subtext, I guess.
I guess just that humanity's still very. You get the sense that humanity's still very small.
Yeah, that's. I think that's actually
and
interesting.
we're still young compared to the entire universe, even with all the spaceships, even with all the space docks. We're still just these tiny beings in a huge world, and it gives you the feeling about kind of like life in the universe in a bit. I guess that's my interpretation, kind of. And like there's still not necessarily like. It's not really. What I like about the movie is not cynical. It's not cynical about the human race. There's a lot of movies that
it's
I like
objective.
It's objective because like something like The Holy Mountain was very subjective. It was very cynical about the comings. But you got shows like Star Trek who are also very confident and like optimistic about the future. But this one stands in the middle and it works because it's not saying that we're going to go in either direction. It's probably saying that there's just so much more in store for us.
That's actually interesting because that kind of leads me into what my interpretation is. The way I see it is it's sort of about like the trajectory of humankind and the way it's going. Because if you think about like the way it all progresses, and you think about like the moments where it progresses, right? The killing of another ape, the killing of Hal. It's almost like these big moments that progress mankind are marked by violence.
Oh, okay.
Right? And a lot of people talk about Kubrick's style as a whole and talk about how it's very objective and very cold and very calculated. And I don't think that applies to all of his films, but this is the one where I think it was a very clear decision to be objective and cold. And it reflects humanity in this way. I think this is personal interpretation, but I think what that objectivity is conveying to the audience is how human progression is driven by violence and by inhumanity, if that makes sense, right?
Well, okay, but the thing about this, it was more like it wasn't necessarily that. What I interpreted from the ape scene was like it wasn't necessarily that violence, like learning about violence, but because they were already kind of violent. But learning through how to use tools.
No, yeah, obviously, no, totally, no, yeah, that's what that
becoming advanced.
Oh yeah,
and
no, totally.
Because of that, they were able to protect themselves and
because the monolith
find food and
what I saw from that was the monolith gives them the ability to use tools, right? Sort of, basically, and what humanity does with that tool is they kill another one of their own kind. and that moment, that specific death, creates that cut to another just time.
Right.
Boom. That kill causes those ships, all that technology. Right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's literally that specific moment triggers everything else. And then killing Hal physically triggers more information. The director guy of the space thing saying, there's this monolith on Jupiter and you need to find it. Killing Hal triggers that.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, I mean, but almost literally, because, you know, when he's killing him, as he's killing him, the moment Hal is killed, boom, TV. The guy. Here is all the information you need that we've been holding back. Here is the way to progress. And then the final big one is his own death. He dies and becomes this thing, the Star Child.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, yeah.
Right? And that objective filming style almost reflects that sort of like coldness in the characters, right?
Right.
Because a lot of people talk about how he directs his actors to be so distant and cold, and that might have been an intentional decision, like for the sake of the meaning, right?
Also, I guess in terms of match cut, I guess since it was a tool for violence, when a match cuts, it's not necessarily trying to just say progression of man, but also, I think I hear somewhere that the spaceship that was supposed to be cut from the bones of the spaceship was supposed to be a nuclear arms vessel. So
is that really true?
I think so.
That's awesome.
I think they go with. I didn't think they go that because I think Kubrick was gonna go that cynical route in a way, where he was gonna be cynical because he's really cynical.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, it could be interpreted like, oh, it's like we're using this for violence. Too.
Yeah.
But also the way that humans are portrayed are very egalitarian, except on AI.
Now,
yeah, exactly.
Both of your guys' interpretations are very good, but my interpretation is that there is an alien species out there of giant babies floating in space, and they need to be stopped.
Yeah, we need to merge it up. We need to segregate them.
Stop peeking my audio.
Oh God!
Guys, I'm sorry if you guys. If you
Everyone clap for Shlomo.
A good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie, boys.
Good movie. I mean, like I said, I'm still trying to comprehend what I just saw, so I don't really have that much of an interpretation on it yet. But you guys give very good points.
What did you think about the Stargate sequence, though? Like the
tunnel.
The tunnel. That's what it's called, the Stargate.
Oh, it's a Stargate. Yeah.
Well, like I said,
were you not expecting it to happen like that?
No.
Because it just sort of like, here we go.
It just happens, and it just takes you, and you're like, okay, I guess this is what's happening
and the
right
music
now.
surges, and
it's like
oh my god! Headphones.
But yeah, God, I don't know. I was just in a trance the whole time. Like I don't know.
And it goes on for a lot longer than you think, because a lot of movies when there's like weird shit like this.
I love that.
I know it goes on for so long.
Yeah, and some like when awesome stuff happens like that, like it usually just lasts. Like
it just happens.
Those
real
effects
quickly.
are still like really effective today.
So fucking cool.
I mean, like it's like a super. It's complicated, but it's a super analog way of going about creating a space scene, and it's so effective, and it looks so
real,
and physically, and like it's effective, and like, but the entire sequence goes on there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But the movie's about the experience, right? So
exactly.
it's like you go on this journey through space and time. God, before this was the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck were they doing in the 60s?
Right.
Audrey Hepburn was like going around like, oh, hey guys, I'm a good fair lady.
Yeah.
Here's racist Mickey Rooney.
Yeah. Audrey Hepburn can go fuck herself.
I like it.
We got 2001: A Space
Good Fair Lady
Odyssey.
was good. Breakfast at Tiffany's was okay. That's a great masterpiece. Audrey Hepburn movies.
Oh no, man.
How to Steal a Million. Good stuff.
Anyways, fantastic movie.
Fantastic.
One of my favorites. I'm still considering against Clockwork Orange, but
Barry Lyndon is my favorite Kubrick.
I haven't seen it.
It's his best.
I haven't seen it.
It's easily his
so
best.
The Shining was your favorite for the longest time, right?
Well, that was pretty much the only movie I've seen from him, other than
you've seen A Clockwork.
Other than A Clockwork Orange and Doctor Strangelove, which we saw recently. Yeah, 2001's my new favorite. That's all I gotta say about it. All right.
We saw other movies that not Beyond Fest definitely don't go ever.
We actually saw these on VHS as well.
We saw them on VHS.
I didn't though because I had to go to the bathroom the entire period.
Yeah.
For the next I guess
a 3-hour-long bathroom break.
Yeah, for the next few hours I had to stay in the bathroom. I had the largest lunch the day before that.
Definitely not Beyond Fest.
No. We saw In the Valley of Violence.
Yes. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, we'll talk about
it. It is directed by
Ty West.
And it is a Western.
Yes.
A very Western-y Western.
His first Western. He's originally, he's a horror director. He does a low-budget horror films. And I'm actually a fan of Ty West. I liked The House of the Devil. I liked The Innkeepers. I thought The Sacrament was okay. That was the movie he did before this one. So this was his first movie out of that genre. And honestly, it might be my favorite of his. Yeah, I think it's his best one.
What movie you guys talking about again? A Million Ways to Die in the West, was that it?
Yeah, definitely A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah.
It's funny because his name is Ty West, and he directs the Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why he decided. He's like, hey, my name's Ty West. I'm going to direct a Western.
Right.
Seriously, I gotta make a Western. guys, my name is Ty West. Not Ty East, not Ty North, not Ty South, Ty West. I'm a film director. I gotta make a Western. But it's gotta have Ethan Hawke.
But no, it was actually really convenient because Ty West actually came over and did a Q&A with us.
Yeah, with the VHS. That definitely wasn't Beyond Fest.
I guess they told me that he just showed up at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was taking
my
a shit.
house.
And we got to see a Q&A about the movie, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
And, learned a bunch of stuff.
It's a really great movie. It is a Western. Mm. It's a very genre subversive Western.
Right.
That plays on a lot of expectations of the audience in a very clever way. Mm-hmm. And what did you think of it?
I really liked it. Like I said, it was his best movie. John Travolta was great. Ethan Hawke was really great. Acting was really great.
Yeah, the acting was really solid.
And
they all had really good comedic timing. That's something that's funny is the name and the type of movie it is. You don't expect it to be as funny as it is.
It's really funny.
It's really funny in how dark and twisted it is.
Right. It almost kind of reminded me of Quentin Tarantino.
That's what a lot of people have drawn comparisons to.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely something like that.
Right.
The way it just fucks with your expectations is really funny. And what Ty West was talking about on the VHS was how he wanted to do a story where the characters are affected by violence in a real way. And that's exactly what happens, is you have these characters who are all boasting about violence and boasting about, the world they live in and how violent it is.
Yeah.
And then when violence actually happens, when you have this character who's a real, hard ass, and he's actually, experienced, all these characters oh shit, oh god, we don't want violence.
Right.
What do you mean violence?
No.
And it's really funny because all these characters just sort of get in over their heads and just get fucked over in the end, and the empathy becomes really perverted because you're initially empathizing with this main character, but as everyone sort of slowly becomes a victim of him, your empathy is stuck somewhere in the middle, which is funny because you have John Travolta's character who is essentially tries to be the middleman at a point.
Right.
And so you end up empathizing primarily with him because he's trying to prevent the violence. He's like, no guys, let's not let this happen.
Yeah.
But there's the film's solution to that is putting a whole bunch of bullets in him.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because he essentially becomes the audience surrogate. And he's decimated, and you're left completely, in a good way, distanced from everyone. Mm-hmm. In this, these people are bad people.
Yeah.
In that kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's really wonderful.
You guys just went on talking about it. I wasn't listening to the entire thing.
Uh-huh.
But, try to explain to me exactly, what is the movie?
It's about a guy. Basically, really, just a guy.
Yeah, he's not a cowboy.
He's an ex-soldier who ran away from
a wanderer.
Yeah, he's kind of just the typical sort of man with no name kind of character, and that's intentional. Is he wants the sort of genre familiarity, and he's this sort of typical man with no name type of character who goes to this town, and he picks this pointless fight with this guy, and this little small innocuous sort of thing just snowballs out of control in this
without-
beautifully constructed way.
Without spoiling much.
Yeah. Although we did spoil a lot.
How
but
exactly does it subvert the Western?
it takes a lot of like expectations. That's like how genre subversion works: is you take the expectations of the audience and you do the opposite of what they expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what subverting expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And so you want me to tell you exactly how?
No. I just want to see like how does this? So it subverts the Western by just like going against your expectations.
Because like the whole first half is constructed in a very familiar way, an intentionally familiar way, and at a certain point, around the halfway point, it all flips and becomes this sort of perversion.
Yeah.
This familiar perversion, which creates this very interesting feeling in the audience.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Should I see it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
Okay, I'm going to
absolutely.
see it whenever
very
it comes
good.
out on DVD.
It
Blu-ray.
actually comes out next weekend.
Oh, really?
October
Okay.
21st.
Is
on
it
demand.
limited or is it wide?
It's limited and on demand.
Oh.
So, but I mean, it still comes out, so watch it.
Go see it, boys.
Go see it. Oh, and the dog, Abby.
The dog. There's a dog in it.
The dog actually came too, didn't he?
Yeah, the dog was in our
dog, yeah.
VHS.
Yeah.
It came out of our VHS and licked my face.
Dude, I went to the bathroom. Did I tell you this?
Yeah,
And the
you
dog
know.
was in there. I was taking a piss. I was like, "This is pretty awesome." I'm taking a piss with Jumpy the dog right now from In a Valley of Violence. So
In our house.
I could live to tell the tale.
In my house.
In your house.
Yeah.
Which you guys just get the fuck out of.
Yeah.
We're freeloaders. We don't have a home.
Assholes. You guys don't even fucking clean up their toilet after they take a shit.
Yeah, I just rub my butt on the seat or the cover, right? I just sit on the cover and I just
flush the
shit.
toilet.
I just
and
shit on the cover.
They just flush the toilet and leave. They don't even bother to like clean the little poopy bits.
Speaking of shit on a toilet seat cover, Raw.
Another one I haven't seen.
Raw.
Which isn't a piece of shit on the toilet seat
No.
because it's a phenomenal film.
Yeah, it's-
probably one of the better films of the year, actually.
I would have to agree.
It is about a vegan who goes to
Vegetarian.
No, she's vegan.
No, she's a vegetarian.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, she's vegetarian.
Okay,
She
a
was
vegetarian
vegan.
who goes to veterinary school
Yeah.
and goes on this sort of coming of age journey.
Okay, wait. When you say veterinarian, do you mean like a horse?
Animal
A
doctor.
school where you
Because
be
like
a vet.
Because it's like I thought you said like vegetarian and
Oh, a vegetarian that goes to vegetarian school.
No, she wants to be a vet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it seems more like implied through the narrative that she doesn't necessarily want to be a vet, but like her parents sort of like push her in that way because her
Right.
parents went to the school and her sister goes to the school.
Yeah, her sister goes to the
It's sort of like the whole dynasty kind of thing. And that's really what a lot of the film's about, is about growing into your adulthood, which is fascinating because it's also a cannibal film.
Yeah, she gets off on human flesh.
She likes to eat people. The vegetarian likes to eat people.
Yes.
Wait, cannibal? She's cannibal?
Yeah, she literally eats things
Okay, how does
from
that work?
humans.
How does that
She
work in the story?
she takes pieces of human and she puts them in her mouth.
Yeah, and she eats it.
And she eats them.
I
She
mean, like,
ingests them.
how
into
is
her
she
stomach.
able to
And-
like eat and like not get away with it?
Well, it's she doesn't necessarily not.
Okay,
do
there's
it.
like
Yeah.
okay, so
Well, okay, I'll explain. So she goes to this school, and her sister's there too. And her sister's, as she's put into this new world of college, she
Sorry, what?
she's much like in real life, you're put into situations that you weren't put into when you were with your family, and similarly, she's forced essentially to eat this piece of meat.
Mm.
It's a metaphor, guys. In fact, that is part of the metaphor.
That's true.
It works.
Yeah.
She's forced to eat this piece of meat, and this sort of is a domino effect where she wants more and more meat along the way. More and more meat. And really it just takes place throughout this period of college where, you know, the freshmen coming in, the frat people are sort of antagonizing them and molding them into this certain type of person. And that's kind of the period of which this film takes place. Is this sort of like freshman period of college.
Yeah.
And her journey as a cannibal happens at that point. And it's fascinating because this cannibalism is essentially a metaphor for really just
Womanhood.
womanhood in general, But I mean, you could like specifically make it into sex or drugs
Well,
or
yeah,
various things
I mean,
like that.
right.
It kind of sounds like anti-vegetarian or anti-meat in a way.
Not necessarily.
Like, it sounds like it's sort of like
in a very surface level way, perhaps.
it's like it could be like either like like this person who's vegetarian if she never had,
Oh, yeah.
if she had
I know what
eaten
you mean.
meat, then maybe she wouldn't be a carnivore.
That
Or
might be.
maybe if like some of these parents, these normal people, weren't forcing their kids to eat meat, maybe she wouldn't be a carnivore.
No, that's
I mean,
that's part of it.
cannibal.
That's definitely part of it. But like it's more than that, because essentially it's less that they are specifically that they are vegetarians, but that the parents are authoritarianly vegetarians. Like they are enforcing it on their kids,
Okay.
right? And so it's if you use it and compare it to like religion, right, where like instead of them being extremist vegetarians, they're extremist Christians or Muslims. It's the same situation where you can't have sex. She goes to college, gets like a taste of sex, and then wants more sex, and rebel. It's like a teenager rebelling against their family and the authoritarian nature of their family.
Yeah.
It's just a sort of metaphor, right?
You know what this movie reminds me of? It reminds me of Teeth.
Teeth. Oh, is that the one with the vagina with teeth?
Yeah.
In it?
Yeah.
Is that also a metaphor?
It kind of is. Yeah,
Oh,
it's about the.
Don't have sex.
It's also about the sort of like the sort of depiction of womanhood in a way, and it's sort of like it's kind of more supposed to be scary for men than it is because this girl who is like completely complacent and like kind of submissive becomes completely independent in a way.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
And because of that, men don't. It sort of like plays against your ideas of that because you don't. Men don't like it when women are like that. When they like when they're independent. And they know about their sexuality and are able to use it to their advantage.
This movie reminded me of Valerie and her Week of Wonders.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that movie later because we watched a whole other bunch of movies before.
Yes.
And we already talked about that, haven't we?
No,
Valerie?
we didn't. We were gonna talk about Valerie.
No, I think we did.
No, we didn't last time.
We were gonna talk about Valerie.
I
After
have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, we were gonna talk about Valerie after Fantastic Planet, but then something happened.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about it later because we watched. There was a bunch of other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also
Dawn of the Dead.
We also watched Dawn of the Dead
In 3D.
in 3D
On VHS.
on VHS.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen.
Definitely
You
not.
haven't
Beyond
seen Dawn of the
this.
Dead?
No, I haven't.
Really?
It's really good.
I hadn't either until that time, and it was really great.
I've seen it once a long time ago on TV when I was a kid,
Mhm.
and I liked it.
It's one of those like classics.
Oh, yeah.
That you just hear about a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Just from various sources.
Wait. So was the movie like already in 3D, but then
No, they converted it to 3D.
No.
Okay, so I thought it was like one of those movies where it was like the cheap days of 3D.
No. That we would have gone out with completely different.
Honestly, the 3D
feelings.
was really good.
It was surprisingly really
It
good.
was
looking.
really good.
Like, it wasn't like in your face 3D because
No,
it
no,
wasn't
no.
filmed like 3D.
Yeah.
But it was very subtle, like little like extensions of
And it was
the
digital 3D.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked really good. It looked surprisingly good.
Okay.
It kind of enhanced the immersion once you get past the glasses thing, which
Yeah.
is always a big barrier.
Yeah.
But it was surprisingly attractive.
How does this compare to Night of the Living Dead? Because I did see that one.
It's better than Night of the Living Dead.
I haven't seen Night of the Living Dead in a long time, but I would say it's probably better. I think there's more to this one.
A lot of people consider this to be like one of the best sequels as far as
I
like,
would say that's accurate.
Yeah, as far as like
Okay.
how it compares to the original.
Well, it's basically very similar to the original, just
Oh, yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
Really.
It's-
And that's a weird thing to say is that's good, but like this is like the perfect size, not too big, not too small.
Is the acting better?
Definitely.
yeah,
definitely.
Pretty much everything's better.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
the
it's just
effects
a
are
generally
better.
better film.
yeah. It's
And-
just more
And
well made.
it's incredibly solid.
Yeah.
It's just perfect in exactly what it's trying to do. Like it achieves exactly what it wants. to.
Right.
And that's perfect.
and it's gory as hell,
It's gory, and it's amazingly, deliciously gory.
which is always cool.
And it's just a really effective
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Like I don't like zombies.
I don't either.
I fucking hate zombies because they're everywhere now. They're everywhere. And because this is like one of the like earlier zombie films, you kind of see certain similarities, but they're just done so much better. And
So it takes place in a mall, right?
it takes
Yeah.
place in a mall.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like I keep hearing that it's supposed to be like a little bit like satire.
It totally is. It totally
kind
is.
of, yeah.
Like it sort of it slowly becomes like a metaphor for like,
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Or like the zombies literally become like they're sort of like people in malls or like
Well, like
zombies. To
once
consumers.
they gain control of the situation in the mall and they kick all the zombies out and they have the mall to themselves, they almost like recreate society in a way.
Oh,
They
okay.
recreate all the problems, and it sort of highlights these problems in a way. They become greedy because they want all the things in the mall, and they sort of have these like marital problems, and it's just they sort of recreate all these like problems with just human nature.
That's interesting.
And like the second half of the film almost is like entirely metaphorical in that regard, because you have these like bandits who come in and try to take all this stuff, and their greed for wanting this stuff causes them to fuck up their own position in this mall. And it's really interesting.
Yeah, the story is very familiar, but then again, like
But in a
lot
good
of
way.
the movies,
Yeah.
took from this movie. Like,
Oh,
this
exactly.
is the one
Exactly, yeah.
that started.
I'm pretty
like,
sure those
Yeah.
7 seasons of Walking Dead will have nothing in common with Dead.
fuck Walking Dead.
I've only seen a few seasons.
I like the first 2 seasons, then I started watching. I stopped watching
The first season was directed by an incredibly good director,
Right.
Darabont, who did like one of the most critically well received films of all time.
Wait, Darabont? Is
Yeah.
he the guy who did the Twister movie?
I don't know. What is that?
Frank Darabont.
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
He did
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption, which,
Green Mile.
You know.
The Majestic, and then Stephen King's Mist.
Yeah.
And those are, I think, those are. the
Oh,
only movies
okay, yeah,
he
those
did.
are pretty good movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very solid director.
He's a good director. Yeah.
But I like the second season too. Although I hear it went like deviated like super far.
Oh yeah.
I hear like in the second season was only like 1 issue in the book or something like that, and then in the graphic novels or whatever. But anyways, yeah, Walking Dead sucks kinda. And then
Yeah.
but Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead's great. It's I'm not, like you said, I'm not a huge fan of zombie movies, but it's probably
It's the best one, and it's really the only one you should ever give a shit about.
it's the best out there, and exactly. Yeah.
This
That's a lot to say.
one or the first one, just
That's all to say
only
for
some good zombie
That's all to
movies
say
that you
for a
could
zombie movie nowadays.
What?
Any George A. Romero zombie movie besides his most recent ones, Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead, because those are awful.
I actually saw Diary of the Dead.
Oh,
I
did you?
actually liked it.
Diary of the Dead.
Well, it's not bad, but yeah, Diarrhea of the Dead.
Diarrhea of the Dead.
It's like a found
Wonderful.
footage.
Oh, of course it is.
But but the thing is that
That's
it's like
so shitty
Yeah.
because George Romero or
Yeah,
George Romero. I get his name mixed up with lots of other people, but George Romero, he has such like a wonderful directorial style.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird and exaggerated and kind of like campy, but like intentionally so. And like making it found footage just takes all the charm out of his movies. Like, why would he do that? It's so bizarre.
because he's out of ideas.
Yeah, that might be it.
The score's great too. For Dawn of the Dead.
Oh
Is it
god,
like
yeah.
a spaghetti westerns?
It kind of has almost like an Ennio Morricone
Yeah.
like style.
Yeah, the Sergei Leone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Good, the bad, and the George Romero.
there's probably like a western movie with zombies.
The zombie, the vampire, and the werewolf coming
and the
soon.
wardrobe.
Uh,
We saw Godzilla,
Shin Godzilla.
the Japanese one.
Who knew that Godzilla had such a muscular, sexy shin?
Do you guys know about the history of this movie?
No.
I do not.
Okay, but besides like the fact that the history of okay, so everyone knows that as soon as so Toho during the making of the 2014 Godzilla here, which I have on Blu-ray, it's a good movie, but Toho was hearing about the movie, so they were like, okay, we got to make a new one now.
Yeah, let's capitalize off of it.
We got to make a new one.
I
So they
figured
start-
that's how it was
So they
made.
started making it, and they finally made it.
Yep.
But the problem with the movie is that here in America, there's like this huge debacle about it getting localized here. This one company said they actually got the rights, and they said, oh, we're going to distribute it, and we're going to make sure it gets here to every state on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then later on, like a couple of weeks later, they said, wait, no, guys, we're not localizing Godzilla. We're just big fans of the movie. And then we're big fans of Godzilla. And then they completely delete all their old posts about it.
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
And now people, basically us fans, especially me, we're just there's no hope there's no word at all. There's no official word at all about it getting localized. But then Funimation came in, good old
Funimation.
Funimation, known for DBZ and
Lots of anime.
Naruto,
Like almost every anime.
Attack on.
Yeah.
Attack on Your Mama.
Attack on Titan.
Pretty sure like Cowboy Bebop even.
No.
No.
I think they own the rights now, but they don't.
Oh, they used to.
They didn't. I don't
Or
think they did the
know.
dub initially.
Okay.
And Evangelion.
Totally, bro. Well, they only did the new movies.
Evangelion.
Or we'll go into that a little bit. But yeah. So now, thanks to Funimation, it finally got released. So
I haven't seen very many Godzilla movies. I saw the shitty Matthew Broderick one.
Oh, sorry, I
and
didn't even touch you.
Another shitty one that I don't remember as
I
a
wish
kid.
I brought that though. I wish I had.
I've seen most of them. I haven't seen 84.
Godzilla 1984, which just came out on Blu-ray recently.
Yeah. But I've seen pretty much most of them.
I might as well start since I'm the one who doesn't have any extensive knowledge of Godzilla.
Sure.
First things first. Holy shit! Is this an insanely directed film? The director is the director of the acclaimed anime Evangelion, and I haven't seen it, but I can imagine it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty insane
Yep.
because the direction in this film is pretty damn ADHD riddled. It's all over the place, and in a good, but like in a good way, because it's consistently crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just like information. Like there's so much information that you have like two subtitles. Like one telling you where they are and who's who, and then another one telling you what people are saying.
It takes up 75%
It
of the screen.
takes up so much of the screen.
There's sometimes like where like the entire screen is cut. There was like 2 shots. The entire screen was covered with.
There's so much information.
And okay.
Very
but
informative.
you could accumulate that to the fact that it's trying to.
Well,
It's trying
it
to
works.
add to the.
I mean, if I knew Japanese, then I would be able to read everything on the top part.
And be able to hear them and walk.
And yeah, exactly. But I mean, obviously, it's hard to understand when
So basically,
two
with
things
the
at the
text,
same time.
with the Japanese text, and the English text, and the English text describing the Japanese text, and sometimes like the describing other things. It's like
Subtitles of English with subtitles of English.
there are times where there's someone speaking in another language or speaking in English.
And there'll be Japanese subtitles.
Japanese
And
subtitles.
then there'll be English subtitles.
English subtitles right over it. And
But it kind of works. Because it's so fast and there's so much information that, for me at least, it flows. And it just kind of like, it's really well paced.
Yeah.
It's fast paced, but it's pretty consistently paced.
Before I give my thoughts, I need to talk about 2014 real quick. So, 2014, it's good, but I don't think it's great. I personally think.
I haven't seen it.
What I love about the 2014 one is they got the tone and the feeling right.
Right,
It's
yeah,
very dark. And Godzilla, he's terrifying. Like, they actually managed to make him terrifying. Like, everything about, like, tone-wise, they did right. Like, it's a very intense film. The only downfall is, like, the human characters. And Gareth Edwards is big fan of, like, the original Godzilla movies. And if anybody has seen the original Japanese Godzilla movies, know that they mainly focus on the human characters. And then they'll save, like, the monster battles till the very end.
Godzilla is a sort of catalyst for drama.
he kind of is.
And the thing is, he does it. He does that with this movie, but the problem is the characters aren't very interesting. So, like, it has a great beginning, like, I think up to the point where who dies.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it falls flat for me. And then the ending is
We can
great.
talk about who it is. I mean, because it's
Bryan Cranston.
Walter White?
He was the best character in the movie, and he dies in the first act.
Great beginning, great ending, but the middle just kind of drags for me because it's focusing on the human characters.
It's the problem with a lot of like modern writing is they don't understand how to like pace the middle part of a film.
Okay.
And for Godzilla Resurgence, or I don't even know what to fucking call it.
Godzilla Crazy Japanese
Godzilla
one.
with the sexy Shin. It's not that the characters aren't interesting. There's just so many of them. Like it's just to the point where I'm like, wow, like there's a lot of characters.
Yeah, I mean but it's almost like comical in how many characters there are.
Right.
And the way I see it is almost like Japan is the character. Like
Yeah.
all of Japan is the character in this film. and it's just made up of a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
Which I think that's kind of how I reconcile it. But is that a problem for you? Is there's just
not really? I mean, no. For the most part, I like to. Sorry, what were you going?
I gotta talk about my experience.
Oh yeah, talk about that one. Yeah.
Because I'm probably the biggest Godzilla fan here out of all of us. I initially watched the Roland Emmerich one, which got me open to the other ones.
Great movie.
It's not amazing.
Worms.
But I was pretty excited when they announced. I remember when they were supposed to show up on my Facebook feed for this movie. I went like, yes, they're making another Godzilla movie.
Yes. Yes.
I'm serious.
Yes.
I'm kind of serious. Like I even because I knew there were rumors. There were rumors.
Yes.
Yeah, you ruined my sentimental moment.
I'm sorry. That's my job.
But that's because I was kind of walking into that one.
No, I'm sorry.
But I was pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
I was super excited because this is going to be the first Godzilla movie we would see in theaters, and it was going to be more faithful to the original. And me and Jacob, we were super excited.
Oh yeah.
I remember that entire year of high school before the movie was just talking about Godzilla and
it was a great theater experience, honestly.
And we were there opening night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was okay. Here's the thing. Again, I pretty much agree with everything Jacob says. But the thing, the monster scenes are amazing.
They're amazing. They really are.
Amazingly shot. The problem with the movie isn't the fact that Godzilla, he only shows it for 11 minutes.
Right.
But a lot of the older ones also have him only for 11 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
But the problem with Godzilla 2014 is that whenever they're building up to a fight scene, Godzilla shows up and he's facing the Muto, which is the other monster in the movie.
Yeah.
He's facing the Muto. They cut away.
Yeah.
So it's basically like cinematic blue balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's like, here we go. Here's a fight. Sorry.
They don't do this once. They do this every fucking time you see Godzilla until you get to the final battle scene for the first time.
They build up the entire movie's just building up to the very end.
Is the very end satisfying?
It is satisfying.
It's very satisfying.
And plus, there's a scene where he's attacking the Golden Gate Bridge, and I remember seeing that. It was the first time you actually get to see him do in action.
Yeah.
And it's just I was honestly super emotional. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And it's well shot. Gareth Edwards' direction is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I got a hard.
Doesn't he the Godzilla doesn't take up the entire frame, just parts of him take up.
Sometimes,
the
frame?
Sometimes.
It's only a little bit because he's just so huge.
Yeah.
And also there's he's really good with directing in terms of camera placing because pretty much all the camera positions are in position in a way where you can never actually be somewhere. It's either on the ground or in a helicopter shot. So it makes it look more realistic. And basically, since a lot of them are on the ground,
it's a locked down camera.
You see Godzilla through the. You only see Godzilla through that. It's not like some imaginary camera moving around. Like Pacific Rim or something.
Oh yeah, totally. I know what you mean.
And but nothing against Pacific Rim, but and that's just the thing about it. It was good.
It's good.
In terms of actually showcasing Godzilla, it was good.
All that shit was good. But it's just I have a huge problem with the characters because they were not interesting. The only interesting character was Bryan Cranston, and they killed him off.
Once he died, it's just Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen going "Oh my god, we gotta." I gotta find my wife.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Again, I gotta run away.
Isn't just some generic military man or something?
He's just generic military man, and she was just generic wife.
Oh.
And there's also a little kid who just.
Was there a scene where he wakes up with his wife and they're like, "I love you so much"?
Not really.
Kiss?
No, but they do make out.
Oh,
there's a scene where they're like, "Oh, we're
so in love."
Yeah, I love you so much.
And then he gets a call that he has to.
Sorry, honey, I gotta go.
Yeah,
there's so many movies like that where they instead of getting the audience to understand why the characters are in love, they just have them go, "We're in love. I'm in love with you. I love you so much." Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
There's so many films. It's a lot of films in the 50s.
Just like a Deepwater Horizon.
Deepwater Horizon.
I love you so much.
Oh, something bad's gonna happen.
Yep.
But okay, so now.
So what are your thoughts on the new one, the blue one, the big enough for two one?
Oh my god. It was amazing. I mean, yeah. I was super excited for this movie. It's from one of my favorite directors, from one of my favorite anime, one of my favorite Japanese directors.
Yep.
And also, it's going to be a new Japanese movie. And it's going to be my first Japanese movie experience. And the first one that came out in 12 years in the theater.
Wait.
And, you know...
Oh, you mean Godzilla?
And Godzilla, yeah.
Okay.
And I was super excited. And it paid off 90%.
90%?
Because, again, I kind of go are with them a little bit because there's a little too much dialogue.
No, I kind of like that, though. Like,
No,
I say there's a lot, but, like...
But it's just like
works.
it's so hard to follow because
there's so much
that
going
might be
on.
more of just an American thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But also at the same time, not too much time is spent to developing the characters. It's more just to
because there's so many characters.
Almost every scene is like trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And in a way, it works. But like I wish there was a little bit. There are some downtime moments where you get to see them like just as characters, and I do like the characters, but they're not.
Yeah, like I said, they're a part of this gigantic ensemble.
Yeah.
And it's more about just the ensemble as a whole, really.
And it's engaging. But the problem is I just wish there was a little more downtime, a little more time to breathe. But like other than that, yeah.
It's pretty fantastic.
Okay.
And like I had no idea what I was in for with this one.
Yeah.
But I saw the trailer and I saw like how many weird close-ups and how many like strange camera angles and how many weird cuts and the music, and I was like, I hope it's that weird. And it was that weird. In a good way, though. Like, it just, like, stylistically, it's so unique.
Yeah.
Like, in, like, the best way possible, because it's so eccentrically directed that it's fun in just that basic regard. I don't know.
What I like about it is very, very true to the original one. And I think, because we haven't had, like, a standalone Godzilla like that since the original one. Like...
We did have this one, but
we did have that one.
It sucked, and this one was supposed to be a standalone, but then some fucking monster called Orgo shows up.
Like every other Godzilla movie, he was fighting a monster, but really? This new one is the first one that I think actually like.
And it works similarly to that one.
Yeah,
in just like it's about killing him, you know.
Right.
It's about winning.
And there is very heavy symbolism.
Yeah.
So like the bomb.
Yeah, that's what I liked a lot too. Is it was pretty damn smart.
Even more heavy than I would say the original. Like they just shoved it in your face.
It's a little heavy-handed, but it works. I'd say it doesn't. It's not too heavy-handed.
This is coming from a country that actually experienced the bomb.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just it really builds like stakes effectively.
Yeah.
Like the biggest problem with a lot of blockbusters nowadays is building stakes.
Yeah.
Like ooh, blue laser in the sky, everyone's dying, but like you have no real connection to anything happening. And I think just like as far as like the sort of power crawl, is that what that's called? Power crawl, power creep. Where like an enemy or a character builds in power throughout the story.
Sure.
It just builds effectively because it starts off with this very like vulnerable looking monster that you're like, oh, that's dangerous.
Okay, wait. So, seriously, guys, this is huge spoilers.
Spoilers.
Like, okay, we're gonna go pretty much. We can't.
Might as well
talk,
go in depth.
We can't talk much about this movie without
spoilers.
So it's still being. It's gonna be shown until Tuesday. We don't know if it's gonna be up still.
Sorry, that was.
Oh, baby.
Continue.
Okay.
If it's up before October 18th, go see it as soon as you can because it's gonna be because there is a limited.
It's worth
theaters. Or at least wait until the Blu-ray comes out. Honestly,
it's one of the best things in theaters right now.
Yeah.
So, like weirdly, you know, as far as like in most theaters, I mean, The Accountant. No.
Boo! A Medea Halloween.
That next week.
That's what
boys.
I'm really excited for.
Next week, boys. But yeah, what I was saying is, it effectively like the enemy Godzilla really grows in power in a very like comprehensive and consistent way. Where you start off with this very vulnerable looking monster that feels conquerable, but it just you can feel every growth in power.
Yeah.
And when it gets to the boiling point of power, it really boils, really, right? It's explosive.
Sorry, when you were talking about like when it first showed him, I kept thinking of like
it looks so derpy when it first comes out.
I saw the movie before they did, but like but like I was waiting for how they would react to that first shot because when I first saw that, I'm just like I knew there's something about a form. I didn't know it was gonna be like some weird googly.
Yeah, the first form looks like a retarded alligator is what it looks like.
It goes like.
It has these huge eyes, and it like has no control over its neck. And it's going.
And it's smiling. It has this weird smile.
It's
in
amazing.
A way,
it's played for comedy.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure.
I
about
think
that.
it might have been played for comedy.
I think it might have.
Not necessarily like, but like just subtle comedy, I guess.
In a way, but like it's also, well, at least when you guys saw it, I think it was a little bit of comedy. But when we saw it, I mean, when I saw it at first at the theaters, like, and the first time, it was a little bit more like, oh
what
my
the
God.
fuck?
Like it was honestly kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is. It does have a creepy
look. It's like this. It's weird, but it's like this disturbing.
Pussy and it's like leaking blood.
It's like this disturbing thing.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing about capturing the original, also that the other monsters that the other Godzillas haven't, because Godzilla in the original he's scary because he's this abomination.
Right.
Yeah,
that should not have been
that's a really
made.
good point.
And because of human error.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
And this one, he's like, they took that literally.
Yeah, he's an abomination. Yeah,
and he's like this super creepy thing that like some crack baby that evolves into a monster.
Yeah.
And but then there's that.
And it's just like you compare like the final form to the first form, and it's just like such a clear progression.
Yeah.
And like it makes it so much more effective when the damage is being wrought.
He looked goofy a lot of times. But like sometimes he looked actually really terrifying. It's the eyes. Like the eyes are like super hyper realistic. I don't know. Look like they have.
Well, they're not hyper realistic. They're just like these little bead. They look like Google eyes.
Googly eyes. Exactly. Like they just glue googly eyes on him.
And then his second form, he changed to his second form.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah. That was really it was interesting.
It kind of the time when he roared and then he like just
walked away.
Walked away to the sea. It kind of reminded me from like the Alien scene, like when the when the xenomorph popped out.
Oh yeah.
It just sort of went like ah.
Bye.
He's sort of doing the same thing. He just sort of like wiggled away.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no, I mean. Yeah, it's like there's these really like bizarre moments.
It's kind of goofy, but in a way it kind of works.
In a way that works. This one like is kind of fun. Like it's made to be fun at times. When it needs to be effective, it's effective. But generally, it has a much more fun atmosphere than I expected.
Okay, but now we got to talk about the final form of Godzilla himself, the main star of the film.
He's got a laser back.
He's honestly one of the coolest Godzillas.
Oh, really? I haven't seen the other ones.
Out of all of them, he's probably one of the coolest
He's
ones.
the most freaky one, I'd say. Like, he just looks terrifying. Like, it's the eyes. Like, they're just very uncanny.
And it's like the way it moves, it's just like...
Yeah. It's got those thick-ass thighs.
Yeah.
It's been working out.
Thighs, yeah.
Shin Godzilla.
It's got those shins.
Yeah.
And, but honestly, like, it's also the powers, but also the way he moves and like his origins.
Yeah.
He's definitely more ruthless, or at least he's definitely a lot more unpredictable. I guess. That's a good way to describe him.
Do they evolve in the other ones like that?
Never.
Oh, that's a really nice touch because it catches you off guard and it makes it just feel more.
Yeah.
Worked towards, I guess.
Yeah, and like the other ones, he would just sort of show up. Like even the original, he just sort of shows up.
I love the beginning of this film. How it's like this almost routine thing where everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Yeah,
there's some weird thing going on in the ocean.
Yeah, I liked how there's like no score either. It's
just, like, it's very like the score comes in at like the big moments, but like generally it's very quiet.
Yeah, very quiet,
surprisingly. And I think my favorite part about the film is how it's almost like this bureaucracy trying to fight this giant monster that's destroying the city. You have this big moment, and there's this bureaucracy like, how's this going to play with the civilians? Are they going to vote for me next year? And it's just all this like weird internal politics going on that's all this red tape and all this like bureaucracy that's like preventing them from actually trying to defeat the monster. And because essentially that bureaucracy is what prevents them from killing it when it was weak. And the bureaucracy causes it to leave and then come back too powerful for them to beat. You know what I mean? And it's really funny. And I mean, that's definitely like probably the most significant theme in it. It is like breaking past all the red tape because basically the main character what was he? What did he do? Was he like just the Ministry of?
He was like he was somebody.
He was a guy.
He was a government guy.
Like I said, hundreds of characters.
There's some memorable ones.
Yeah, there were more. Some that were more in the front of the story. No. Yeah, there were some that like stood out more because they were like the leaders or like they had a significant role in the plot. But like
there's like one girl who's like the American.
She's
actually a super famous star.
Is she really? Yeah, that makes sense.
And there was
the main guy.
The main guy. There was that advisor guy who sort of looked out for him.
Mm-hmm.
There was
the sciencey girl.
Yeah, that one girl.
Whenever she was shot, like her close-ups were always from the side.
And she's like totally complacent, and
yeah.
she's sort of like this weird robot, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a few standout characters.
But other than that, not really.
It was just like so huge.
But here's the problem that every other Godzilla movie, including the maybe not the original, but the 2014.
Yeah.
Got wrong. They always get it wrong. I have never seen a Godzilla movie get this right except for a few. And it's the characters.
Yes.
And at least not necessarily the characters, it's the human story. Mm-hmm. The human stories are never engaging.
Nope.
The only one that's ever came closest was this one. And even then, it was like a little bit... I'm going to say this. I'm the biggest Godzilla fan here. And I'm going to have to say this. I don't believe there's a single like great Godzilla movie.
Oh, yeah.
The only closest is the original.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still really good. And what makes it great is its themes, and its depiction, and its background.
Yeah.
But the problem is just that there's still B movie factors going into it. There's still kind of cheesy acting, still some sort of like B movie science kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of doesn't work. But like I remember when I went to go see it in a theater, they were playing at a theater. A lot of people haven't seen it before, I guess, and they were laughing at it most of the time, and I don't blame them because there's some weird shit in it, but like, and it's kind of awkward in some places, but every single one after that, like, all the human characters suck, and like you can't, and you're just waiting for it to Godzilla.
Do you think this one got it right or wrong?
It got it right.
You think they got it right?
At least
it's large scale.
Mm-hmm.
And no one is given enough, like a huge amount of focus, but they didn't need to be given a huge amount of focus because it like I've said this before, and I think you would agree, right? Is how Japan is the character.
Japan is the character.
Yeah,
It's just that the problem wasn't necessarily that they didn't have good characters. It's that it wasn't always engaging.
It wasn't. Yeah, that's probably what
this
it
is
was.
the problem. It's not. These ones don't have very strong characters either. But like, it's an engaging
story. It is an engaging story.
And like, it's like a group of underdogs in the bureaucracy trying to fight against the bureaucracy and try to find a way to save Japan without having to nuke the entire city. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was
engaging. It was genuinely engaging.
And you kind of like, and there was they got some epic music playing, which by the way, some of the songs were from Evangelion that they played, and like they would go put in the background like. It's like, we gotta do this, guys. We gotta figure out how to do this, and it's like, and it's cool.
Yeah,
it's sort of like
it was really solid.
And that's the thing. The problem that every other Godzilla movie's gotten, the terrible human story. This one had a terrible human story. This one had a terrible human story. This one had one of the fucking worst human stories, except for Bryan Cranston. And it's just like, God, they can never get this right. And finally, 60 years later, they finally get it. And it had to be due for some weird, crazy, anime guy who jerks off to little girls.
Yeah. Does he really?
I'm not sure. Probably not.
That was a very interesting thing to throw in. And he jerks off to little girls. That's on the record, guys.
Probably not. That's one of the great things about this movie. That it got right out of all the Godzilla movies.
It's very large scale, and it's very well constructed. It's there's so much information going on, but it's all handled in a very economic way. There is no like time where they just waste. No time is wasted in this film. How long is it exactly?
About 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. No time is wasted. Everything feels important to the narrative. Every little bit of information, no matter how much information there is, it's all pertinent and all effective, and it works really.
And and I like the details too. Like it isn't like a lot of the problems with other Godzilla movies. They don't, even when they're trying to be serious, they don't always factor in politics very well.
Yeah.
This one, like in this scene, like in '84, I just watched yesterday. They were allowing people through the streets of Tokyo while Godzilla was still alive.
Yeah.
And this one, they put serious effort to evacuate everybody.
Yeah.
And like in this, and which probably would happen in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, like the monster was asleep.
Yeah, there was this weird level of realism that I really appreciated in it. Is despite how like stylistically directed it had a lot of realism.
Oh yeah,
a lot of good details.
The news broadcasts had this like nice aesthetic to it that felt very realistic.
I also like how they implied online stuff.
Oh yeah,
they also applied YouTube, like social media, like it plays a big part in like spreading the information, and also like it like cut between a lot of different formats of video, which had this almost like universal vibe to it, where it was just like the film. There's no like subjectivity. This is just giving all the information wherever it is, wherever it's coming from. You know what I mean? And it pays very well attention to politics.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of, it's very politically charged. And for the most part, I think it works to its advantage.
It works quite well, I'd say,
like
for the most part.
And like that's what makes it engaging. It's a good political story too, in a way. It also involved a lot of the stories about trying to stop the bomb, or like trying to figure out a way to stop the bomb, because it's like, okay, well, because like it's pretty interesting too, because like it's true, because like if they drop the bomb, they would help the country in a way, because they were in an economic crisis. And then now, but like if they do it, then they're just like complacent. They were like servants to the bomb, to America and the bomb. It's 3 times.
You know, it was sort of about the principle of the thing, right?
And in the
they're
end,
standing on principle.
They chose against it.
Yeah. And it worked out in their favor.
Here is the problem, eventually, that comes with the movie, in my opinion. At least it could be a little bit concerning. You were saying how it's really attributed to the original.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing with me. I don't think it really does with the original. Because here's the thing about the original. It's depressing. It's a natural disaster because it's supposed to like perfectly like encapsulate what Hiroshima and Nagasaki was like for the Japanese at the time. And it's despair-inducing. And the point is that there's huge amounts of punishment through the creation of Godzilla. And this one, there isn't a lot of punishment.
It's very optimistic.
It's incredibly optimistic.
Especially from what I've heard of that one, it's very optimistic, which I think, I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, I guess.
There's a thing going on in Japan right now because like after World War II ended, they had to, Japan was forced to not have a military or offensive military.
They're a protectorate, I think.
Only a defensive military. That's what the JSDF was in this movie. And
that's sort of partly what it was about.
Yeah.
To an extent.
And the thing is that a lot of the conservative government in Japan right now are trying to reinterpret the Constitution to make it so that they can have an offensive military again. And that's been really troubling for a lot of people. And like in this one, surprisingly, it might actually be taking a pro-military. It might be taking a pro-military.
I can see that, yeah.
Which is kind of concerning.
Well, I mean, in a way though, it's less about like military specifically, but more independence from the rest of the world. And I think that's probably what he was trying to accomplish.
I do agree with that because like they have the right to be nationalistic, and plus like. And I agree, it makes sense, but the same, I feel like people might take it
you can totally interpret it as like,
the wrong way.
Oh, we need a military. It's like, like I can see someone
interpreting. And I hear that the actual
like
government, like the president, the prime minister of Japan at the moment, who's that conservative guy trying to...
He loves the movie.
He loves the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's interesting.
And that's some of the problem.
Yeah,
it feels like...
I can see what you mean.
It feels less about, like the errors of humankind, and more about like how we... Yeah. Okay, so we messed up once. Let's try to fix it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely less about the military, more about just independence from America, independence from the rest of the world, which I think is actually really cool because whereas like the time periods in which both of those films came out, this one and that one,
that level in its own right, it works. It works in that way. But in terms of living up to the original in a way, or trying to be like,
but doesn't need to be the original.
No, I know. I'm not saying it does, but I'm just saying if it's trying. If the point was to try to be like the original, or like trying to capture the original essence of the original film, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's something that the 2014 one actually kind of did. Even though they only barely touched upon Hiroshima.
I prefer that it didn't, though. I think I'd rather it do something, mean something different than the original.
I'm getting to that. I'm not trying to say, but I'm just trying to say Godzilla represents... he's a little more of a hero in this one, but the Mutos in this film represent the eras of...
Oh, okay.
And they're filmed in a way where it's like they're majestic beings.
Yeah.
And they're just like these divine beings that we created. and that they're monsters like that are beyond our control, beyond our understanding, like the bomb itself. And that way, it does kind of work more with this one. This one, Godzilla is just more like he's like in Shin Godzilla. He's just kind of more like, oh, this kind of happened. We just got to figure this out somehow. But
okay, I think. Oh, you know what? That might be interesting because it's sort of like the past. Because this is like so much farther in the future than that one. This is like the past coming back to haunt Japan, and instead of bowing to the oppression of wherever whatever, they're being independent from them and they're defending themselves.
That's why it's different from this one. This one they submitted. Because there's nothing they could do. No, they didn't.
Is that what happens in the end?
They don't want to submit. It's just that they did defeat Godzilla in the end. Okay. I have spoilers, but there was a great sacrifice, and it left off at the point where it was very unoptimistic ending.
That's interesting. So I mean, that actually I like the fact that it did something thematically completely different, or at least tied to the same themes, but saying something different.
It's just that in terms of it's not what I would really expect. And
it has some schmaltzier elements to it, I think.
I don't know if I'm really a fan of like that nationalistic kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of nationalism.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I might not necessarily agree with that. I'm like, as far as nationalism, I'm completely apathetic towards it. But the way I see it is, to me, it's all about what it's setting out to do and how successful it is in setting out to do. In terms
of the movie by itself.
And it succeeds, I think, pretty damn perfectly in what it's setting out to do. And that's why I think it's a really great film.
It's definitely, out of all the ones I've seen, it's definitely one of the best ones. It just might, in terms of competently made, in terms of making like a solid film, it might even pass the original. But it will never pass the original in terms of themes. Because of times. And that's the problem. It doesn't.
I haven't seen the original, so I can't necessarily comment on that.
That's the thing. It's like, I know, but like, and nothing. That's the problem. Even no matter how great you can make a Godzilla movie, no matter how competently better it made, how plot better characters, better engaging characters, you still can't top this B-movie sci-fi fic from the '50s with a stupid man in a suit.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about this movie.
Yep.
But also but this film was on its own. It was such a great experience. I'm just happy to actually see an engaging, fun movie.
Yeah.
Well, my main problem with the new one, and I might be the minority here, I don't know, but is what the 2014 one did right with the tone. Yeah, like you guys were saying, like this new one was like a bit too optimistic. I would have liked a much more serious, like a much more
depressing,
serious,
dark, violent,
exactly,
nihilistic.
And this one did it perfectly, I think. But it just needed.
Isn't it PG-13?
It is PG-13.
That's a bummer.
It just needed the good human characters and pretty much everything that was good in this new one.
Combine the two, basically.
If you combine the two, it would be probably the best Godzilla movie.
With like better paced Godzilla scenes. Good with like if you combine the Zilla scenes with this one and the Zilla scenes with this one, and like the characters with each, and a better mix, a better balance of the two tones.
Exactly.
You would have had a perfect Godzilla.
See, I don't mind the optimistic tone of this one. Like I'm as nihilistic as you can get as a person, but I went in expecting a very weird and optimistic and kind of fun film, and I got that, and I kind of appreciate how I think there's a lot of very nihilistic films lately. And it's cool to see something kind of optimistic, just for the sake of being different from everything else, I guess.
Yeah,
and it works.
It's very much its own.
On its own, it works, and but it's still good. It's still great. I know I was trying to rip a new one for this one. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's like this incompetent movie against this one. It's still a great movie. It's definitely one of the best ones. Like either it's probably, if this one's number one, Shin Godzilla is probably number two.
From what I've seen, I'd probably have to agree.
Honestly, yeah.
It's my favorite Godzilla movie so far because I've only seen one other one.
It's the only one you've ever seen. And do you guys want to talk about that final shot?
Oh yeah.
Okay. If you guys already seen the movie, you know what it is. They building up to a sequel.
Probably. It follows up Godzilla up his tail, and there's like these weird humanoid things sprouting from the end of its tail.
That's honestly really creepy, honestly.
It had a very creepy look to it.
It just sort of keeps on, and then it just ends.
Yeah. It was a very jarring moment because it's this very optimistic moment, and then you have this weird thing where it's completely silent and just following it, and you're like, What is that? It's interesting. What are your interpretations of it?
Probably the same thing. Like, it's just trying to build up a sequel, but the thing this guy likes to do, he just likes weird endings.
Yeah. Because doesn't he put a lot of like unnecessary Christian imagery in Evangelion?
Yeah, kinda.
Mm-hmm. So like almost like distract the audience.
Kinda.
That's what I've heard.
Look, we're almost out of time.
Goodbye, folks.
Sorry, guys.
See you next time.
Watch Godzilla if it's still out before we upload this.
And watch Holy Mountain in 2001.
Watch every single movie we've seen.
And in a Valley
This is
Violence.
all good movies. Watch them all.
Yes.
All good. 10 out of
Alright.
10.
Be sure not to kill yourself because we got more coming and we need the views.